Hi, my name is Diedre Thu-Ha Nguyen. Vietnamese name is Thu-Ha. I came here when I was 9 in the mid of 1980s, Little Saigon. The first airport I landed was John Way Airport, and I never left OC for the past 30 plus years. Well, I grew up in Little Saigon, in the community. I went through middle school, Warner, around the corner. Intermediate school, I went to Westminster High School in Little Saigon as well. And back then, Westminster High School had more than, in the mid-80s, we already have like almost 50% of the Vietnamese. The term that back then called FOB, fresh of the boat, that's us. And I graduated from Westminster High in the early 1990s, class of 1993. I also went to UC Irvine, which is a very local university. I have a large population of API students. And back then, with already we've seen the Little Saigon growing, we do have a lot of Vietnamese students attend. So basically for the past 30 plus years in Little Saigon, I grow up and see the changes from school environment to the community to the government. The first wave of the Vietnamese refugee landed in Camp Pendleton and back in 1975. I wasn't part of that wave. I was part of the second wave, which is the boat people. My dad was South Vietnamese Marines. He's escaped. He was sent to prison after 75 for 8 years. After that, we left Vietnam and by boat people. The history of the Little Saigon was starting when the first wave arrived at Camp Pendleton and people building settle in Orange County. And the first Little Saigon wasn't started in Westminster. The Little Saigon was started in Santa Ana. That many people didn't know that. And that's why and as the Little Saigon growing and more refugees come over in the 80s and the 90s. And the 90s, the third wave, which is the humanitarian organization that we call, in Vietnamese called HACO, for those, a priority for those families that was imprisoned after 1975. So that's the third wave. And Little Saigon expanding from Santa Ana into Westminster and Garden Grove, Fountain Valley, all the surrounding city. And I grow up in the community, so I see it's kind of expanding of Little Saigon into a different city. In the 80s, in the mid 80s, if you compare the pictures of now, there's so many strip mall and shopping center, right? Start from just use Bosa only. Start from Magnolia down to Euclid. That section. Back then was a lot of cornfield and strawberry field. That's only the first strip mall was, and the first flagpole, because for our community it's very important to have a flagpole. The first flagpole that displayed the South Vietnamese flag was right in the corner of Bosa and Ward, and that was the first strip mall. The Pho is called restaurant, very old Phở Nguyễn Huệ, which is the most popular back then for a lot of people to hang around. And so going back to that picture, you see right now is both sides of the street of Bosa are full of shopping center, strip mall, doctor office. But back then it's very scattered because you have a cornfield right on Bosa and Magnolia, and then a strawberry field right on Bouchard and Bosa. So it's a little a lot of open space for farming. But now it's everything, all the building, all the shopping center. In our community, as a member of the community, and has been involved with organizing a lot of community events. There's few events that call annually that you cannot stop. It's annual, become annual routine, unless there's things like pandemic happen that we couldn't do it. But TED Festival, that's a must. That's annual. That no matter what, it's become it's on the calendar. And then the parade, TED Parade. and then the Black April. So if I list by timeline, just imagine start from January, right, to December. January, that, the end of January, beginning of February, that's Tet, which is Lunar New Year. And then after Tet, during the Tet, we have Tet Parade, Tet Festival, that's a must. And then beginning of March, all organizations in the community, including community members, start organizing for Black April. Black April, why we call Black April, because commemorating the Saigon fell to communists and why we become refugees, why we're here to remind our younger generations why we are here. And it has been recognized by legislators across state, United States, is the Black April, with all the resolution passed at the local level, to state level, to the federal level. So that's a Black April. And then after the Black April, between May and June, we have the Armed Force Day, celebrating Armed Force Day. What you call Armed Force Day is for the Vietnamese veterans, that to honor them, to honor their sacrifice during the Vietnam War, and for the younger generation to learn about the history of their parents, grandparents, right? Because we start getting to third generation of Little Saigon now. And then we have summer activities. Summer activities, there's a lot of organizations that have summer activities to have the family engagement, multi-generation come out picnic, and so that they build up a relationship of grandparent and younger kids. So that those are the activities hosted by different organizations. But for the community-wise, the most focus is Tet Festival, Tet Parade, Black April, Armed Force Day, and then of course celebrate the end of the year accomplishment by different organizations that usually happen December, January. I don't know if you remember 1999 when the whole Little Saigon were having I call upheaval, because there's a business owner hanging the communist flag in the video store. I was out there 53 night. I wouldn't say day because I was in school and work. So I was out there 53 night with the community. It's called unrest, but it's very peaceful. There is no violence happen. Those are the moments I feel that when the community come together at once, overcome, and then other community too come out with us and support. So that's my vivid memory. I very feel proud of what we have achieved. And those are the moments that when we feel that we all become one. No matter how many generations, my parents, grandparents coming out, sit together with young kids like 3 or 4 years old. That is when we know that for sure, for a common cause, for educating purpose, we are become one. And that's my most memorable, can never forget. I still, if you see on the website, there's a picture that captured the whole crowded. Just imagine 10,000 people right in the corner of Bosa and Bouchard.